She doesn't cling because you chase. She clings because your energy programs her body. You've seen it, things start casual then. She lingers longer, texts more often, checks where you are. You didn't promise forever. You didn't love bomb. Something smaller happened. Your timing, your silence, your steady rhythm slipped under her guard. Most men miss this and try to push harder, talk more, or perform romance. The result, short sugar highs, fast crashes, and another story about it fizzled. This video is the antidote. I'll show you 6 simple actions that work on the level she actually responds to, micro signals she feels before she can explain them. No games, no manipulation. Stoic control, masculine restraint, and a repeatable rhythm that makes connection feel inevitable. We'll break down how to disrupt her predictability without breaking safety, how to use presence rather than paragraphs, and how selective attention creates the kind of craving she won't admit. If you've ever wondered why some men say less yet pull more, you're about to understand it. If you've ever been told you're intense or hard to read, I'll show you how to turn that into quiet gravity she can't resist. And if you've been the guy who overinvests early, this will save you months of frustration. Stay with me because one shift in timing can change everything for you. Let's get into it. Number 1. The subtle disruption that hooks her mind. Attraction doesn't begin with charm or compliments. It begins with disruption. Not chaos, not drama, but a subtle break in her rhythm that makes her nervous system wake up and say, "Who is this?" That's the first step in creating emotional gravity, disrupting predictability while still feeling safe. Most men are too consistent in the wrong way. They follow patterns, texting the same way, showing up too eager, reacting instantly. Everything about them screams predictable, and predictability kills intrigue. It's safe, but it's not exciting. Women crave rhythm, not routine. There's a difference. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Michael, 53, had been divorced for 3 years when he met Emily, 47, at a mutual friend's dinner. She liked him instantly, polite, grounded, confident. But like most men, he wanted to do things right. So he texted her every morning, complimented her often, and tried to keep the connection alive. After a few weeks, her replies slowed. She didn't ghost him, she just lost interest. Then something changed. Michael stopped reaching out for a week, not as a strategy, but because he was busy with work and training. When he finally messaged her, his tone was calm, short, and genuine. She replied in minutes. The same woman who was fading suddenly leaned back in. Why? Because her brain noticed a change, a break in rhythm, and it triggered curiosity. You see, the female brain is wired for contrast. When everything is predictable, dopamine drops. But when something shifts just slightly, attention spikes. It's the same reason a song feels flat without variation. The key is controlled disruption. Not games, not emotional withdrawal, but shifting energy naturally so she can't settle into a script. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining." That's a Stoic way of saying, let the silence speak. Don't panic when things feel quiet. Most men can't handle that pause. They rush to fill it, to fix it. But a calm pause is what makes her wonder about you. That wondering is attraction taking root. Emily told Michael later, "I don't know what changed, but something about you feels more grounded." What she felt wasn't new confidence. It was his ability to hold space without chasing comfort. That small disruption shifted her perception from, "He likes me too," "He's different." Here's what you need to understand. Attraction lives in the unknown. You don't need to vanish, manipulate, or play hot and cold. You just need to be real enough to let natural gaps exist. Don't fill every silence. Don't explain every mood. Don't make your attention constant, make it earned. When you're steady yet unpredictable, you become the mental loop she can't close. She keeps replaying your moments, wondering what you're thinking, why you're calm, what you might do next. That's not manipulation, that's polarity. The calm leader and the curious follower. So start small. If you usually respond instantly, wait a while. If you always initiate, let her take a turn. If your energy is usually high, slow it down. Each shift adds texture, and texture creates tension. If this truth hits home, write it in the comments. I move with rhythm. Because the man who controls rhythm controls connection, and the one who breaks predictability first is the one she can't stop thinking about. Number 2, the energy she feels before you speak. Before you open your mouth, she already knows what kind of man you are. She feels it not consciously, but physically. Your tone, your breathing, your posture, your stillness, they send messages. Her nervous system reads faster than words ever could. Women are biologically tuned to sense energy before meaning. That's why attraction often begins before conversation. Most men think they win interest with charm or clever lines. But in truth, the first impression is non-verbal. It's rhythm, not words. It's how comfortable you are inside your own silence. When your body language says, "I'm in control of myself," she relaxes, not because you're loud, but because you're steady. She feels the space between your actions. That's what creates tension. Your energy tells her what to expect. If you walk in restless, she feels uncertainty. If you walk in grounded, she feels safety. The paradox is that safety creates desire. Calmness is the most attractive energy a man can carry because it gives contrast to her natural emotion. You become the steady beat to her melody. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's not just philosophy, it's biology. A man who controls his impulses projects stability. His nervous system doesn't mirror chaos, it regulates it. When she feels that regulation, her body interprets it as confidence, leadership, and quiet dominance. She may not describe it that way, but she'll feel it as warmth, or what she calls chemistry. This is why frantic energy never works. You can't fake calm because your body always tells the truth. Your eyes dart, your speech speeds up, your gestures lose rhythm, and her subconscious picks it up instantly. Attraction collapses not because of what you said, but because your body revealed need. The Stoics trained for this kind of control every day. They practiced equanimity, the art of staying still inside while the world moves outside. You can practice it too. Slow your breathing. Speak half as fast. Move deliberately. When your physical pace matches your mental pace, you project coherence. Coherence feels like power. In social settings, the calmest man becomes the focal point, not because he demands attention, but because he doesn't chase it. His energy pulls, it doesn't push. Women sense that pull as gravity. They start adjusting to your rhythm, mirroring your pace, lowering their tone. It's primal synchronization. You don't make it happen, you allow it. There's a moment that happens when this energy lands. She'll hold eye contact a little longer, pause before speaking, maybe smile without knowing why. That's not flirting, that's entrainment. Her nervous system has locked onto yours. You've created emotional resonance without saying a word. When you master this, you stop worrying about what to say. You realize presence always wins over performance. You don't need to impress when your energy already communicates everything. Focus, restraint, and self-respect. So start paying attention to your energy before your words. Ask yourself, what does my body say when I enter a room? Calmness isn't silence, it's command. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." The same goes for attraction. The quality of your presence shapes the energy she feels. And when your thoughts are disciplined, your energy becomes magnetic. If this resonates, type below, "I lead with calm." Because before she ever hears your voice, she's already listening to your energy, and that's where real attraction begins. Number 3, the rhythm that keeps her chasing. Attraction is not a straight line, it's a rhythm. When you're always available, always responding, always ready, the rhythm dies. It becomes flat. But when your presence has a pulse, a natural in and out motion, it keeps her alert, curious, and emotionally invested. The secret isn't to disappear. It's to create contrast. Think of it like music. A song with no pauses, no silence becomes noise. But when you play with timing, a beat here, a rest there, the listener leans in. She wants to know what comes next. That's exactly how her mind works when you manage rhythm the right way. Let's look at a real example. Daniel, 51, met Rebecca, 45, at his local art studio. He was confident, polite, but he didn't chase. They texted after their first date, and when she sent a playful message the next morning, he didn't reply right away. Not out of strategy, he was training, then running errands, then enjoying his day. He replied that evening, calm and casual. She responded instantly. Over time, this pattern formed. He was present, but not predictable. She never knew exactly when he'd reach out, but when he did, he brought good energy. That unpredictability made her more invested. What Daniel was doing, even without realizing it, was creating intermittent reinforcement. It's a psychological rhythm that triggers dopamine spikes. When rewards your attention, your messages, your energy are not constant, but appear with variation. They become addictive. The mind starts craving the next hit. This isn't manipulation, it's natural biology. We all respond to rhythm. The mistake most men make is mistaking rhythm for absence. They pull away too hard, go completely silent, or play hard to get until the connection dies. The rhythm must feel alive, not like rejection, but like flow. You appear when it feels right. You retreat when you're focused elsewhere. You don't do it to create reaction, you do it because you have a full life. When Rebecca later told Daniel, "I don't know what it is, but I'm always wondering what you're doing," that was the rhythm working. She was emotionally engaged, not because of words, but because of timing. This concept aligns deeply with Stoic thought. The Stoics lived in rhythm with nature, action, reflection, rest, return. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Constant presence dilutes value." When you give someone space to feel your absence, your presence becomes more meaningful. Rhythm creates polarity. It tells her you have balance, that your world doesn't orbit around her. That confidence of motion, of being available yet detached, keeps her both safe and excited. It's the masculine rhythm she subconsciously craves, steady but unpredictable, strong but light. To master this, you need awareness, not tricks. Pay attention to when you're reaching out from need versus intention. Notice when you're filling silence just to feel connected. That's when rhythm dies. The goal isn't to retreat. It's to move in a pattern that reflects purpose. Here's the takeaway. Consistency builds trust, rhythm builds desire. Combine both and she chases you not out of confusion but fascination. If you've felt this truth before, type in the comments, "I move with purpose." Because the man who controls rhythm doesn't chase, he leads the dance, and she'll always want the next step. Number 4. The safe space that binds her emotionally. Here's a truth. Most men overlook women don't fall for the man who excites them the most. They fall for the man who makes them feel safe being themselves. Emotional safety is what creates deep attachment. It's not comfort, it's permission. Permission to express, to be vulnerable, to let her guard down without fear of being judged or controlled. You see, desire without safety burns fast. But desire built on safety endures. Most men think safety means softness. It doesn't. Safety comes from grounded energy, from the way you listen without reacting, the way you witness her emotions without needing to fix them. That's when she begins to feel something rare, peace in your presence. When she shares frustration and you stay still, not cold but calm, her nervous system learns that your energy can absorb hers without breaking. That moment is powerful, because now she doesn't just like you, she trusts you. And trust is the deepest form of attraction. The Stoics practiced this discipline every day. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's not just wisdom, it's emotional mastery. The more you listen, the more you understand. The less you rush to speak, the stronger your influence becomes. In relationships, most men do the opposite. They react, they defend, they argue their logic while ignoring her emotion. But here's the reality: emotions don't need correction. They need containment. When you can hold emotional space without collapsing or criticizing, she bonds with you at a level she can't explain. Her body relaxes, her guard lowers. That's when real attachment begins. Imagine this like being the calm in a storm. You don't control the weather, you anchor it. That's masculine containment. It's not about dominance, it's about stability. You become the emotional gravity she orbits around, not because you demand it, but because your presence offers relief. This is why calmness feels so rare today. Everyone reacts instantly online, in person, through text. But when you can hold a moment, truly hold it, without rushing to solve or escape it, you separate yourself from every other man she's met. She starts sharing things she never tells others. She starts reaching for you when she's overwhelmed, and that's how you become emotionally indispensable. But don't confuse emotional safety with becoming her therapist. You're not there to fix her feelings or absorb her pain. You're there to witness it, to let her see that your stability doesn't waver when she's uncertain. That's leadership. That's attraction rooted in trust. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." In relationships, your enemy is reactivity. Every time you stay calm where another man would explode or retreat, you rise above the noise. You become the rare presence she clings to because it soothes something deep inside her. Now listen, if you want to master this level of calm and control, you need practice, not theory. Inside the Stoic Brotherhood membership, I teach how to regulate your nervous system, command silence, and create that magnetic peace women can't walk away from. It's not manipulation, it's discipline in action. If this truth hits home, type in the comments, "I hold the frame." Because the man who can hold emotional space doesn't chase connection, he creates it. Number 5. Attention that feels like control. There's a kind of attention that pulls her closer, not because it flatters her, but because it steadies her. It's not the constant stream of compliments or messages most men think women want. It's the kind of attention that feels intentional, controlled, selective. It makes her feel seen but not possessed. And that difference changes everything. Take Mark, a 49-year-old contractor from Denver. After his divorce, he promised himself he'd stop over-investing early. When he met Samantha, a 4-year-old interior designer, he liked her a lot. But instead of pouring on the attention like he used to, he stayed measured. He listened more than he spoke, noticed her details, but didn't rush to fill every silence. When she texted, he didn't always reply immediately. When she complimented him, he thanked her but didn't deflect or brag. His energy said, "I'm here because I choose to be, not because I have to be." And that's exactly what made her lean in. His attention had weight. It wasn't scattered. It wasn't needy. It was precise, like focus, not obsession. That's what makes attention feel like control. Most men think the more they give, the more they'll be valued. But the truth is, unlimited attention loses value fast. Humans crave what feels earned. When your attention is scarce, not withheld, just intentional, it becomes a reward. Every text, every glance, every moment with you carries meaning because it's not constant. It's the same psychology that drives scarcity in everything else. When something feels rare, the mind attaches importance to it. That's why Samantha told Mark one night, "I never know when you're going to reach out, but when you do, it always feels real." What she was describing wasn't anxiety, it was fascination. This balance between warmth and restraint is magnetic. It signals control, and control feels like confidence. When your attention is steady but selective, it tells her that you're not ruled by impulse. You see her, but you're not consumed by her. You care, but you're not defined by it. The Stoics called this measured engagement. Seneca once wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." The same principle applies here. The greatest remedy for neediness is space. Space proves that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. The key is authenticity. You can't fake control, because real control comes from discipline, not tactics. You give your attention when it aligns with your values, not your fears. That's why it feels powerful, because it comes from choice, not compulsion. Let's be clear, control doesn't mean distance. You can be fully present and still centered. When you look at her, do it with focus, not hunger. When you listen, do it without waiting to reply. That depth is what women rarely find. It's why they remember it. Mark didn't play hard to get. He just had a life, his work, his training, his friends. His attention was a gift, not a habit. That's what made it irresistible. So here's the lesson: don't give constant attention, give conscious attention. Let your focus mean something. Let it anchor her, not drown her. If this resonates, write it below. I choose my focus. Because when your attention feels controlled, it doesn't just attract, it commands respect. And that's what keeps her chasing long after the conversation ends. Number 6. The absence that makes her need you. Here's a paradox. Most men never grasp your absence can be more powerful than your presence. When used with discipline, absence doesn't push her away, it makes her feel your presence even more. Because true attraction isn't built on constant availability, it's built on contrast, the tension between your presence and your silence. Think about it. When you're always there, always accessible, her mind relaxes. She stops reaching, stops wondering, stops investing. You've removed the mystery that fuels desire. But when you step back calmly, not dramatically, you give her space to feel the weight of your absence. And that feeling becomes the hook. Most men misunderstand this concept. They go cold, disappear completely, or try to manipulate. That's not controlled absence, that's avoidance. Real absence has intention. It's not about ignoring her. It's about giving space for curiosity to grow. You retreat not because you're insecure, but because your life demands focus elsewhere. Your work, your growth, your peace. The female mind fills silence with meaning. When you stop flooding her senses with your presence, her subconscious starts searching for you. She replays your tone, your scent, your calm. It's not obsession, it's imprinting. The brain bonds through patterns, and when that pattern breaks, it seeks to restore it. That's why your absence, if balanced, creates longing. The Stoics understood the value of withdrawal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That's exactly what this is, a retreat into self-mastery. When you pull back, you return to yourself. You recharge. You remind her that your center isn't dependent on her attention. And paradoxically, that independence draws her in even deeper. Presence creates experience. Absence creates reflection. When she's with you, she feels your energy. When you're gone, she processes it. That's when the emotional bond deepens in reflection, not contact. She begins to realize that her calm was tied to your presence. Your silence becomes a mirror, showing her how much space you occupied in her mind. But remember, timing matters. Too much absence and she detaches. Too little and she gets comfortable. The balance is natural when your life has purpose. When you're focused on your mission, absence happens organically. You're not withholding, you're living. That authenticity keeps the energy alive. The Stoic way is to be deliberate with your presence and graceful with your absence. You show up when it matters. You withdraw when it's time to rebuild. Both actions are forms of strength. The man who fears distance becomes dependent. The man who embraces it becomes magnetic. Your absence teaches her that your value isn't found in constant proximity, it's in your impact. It's the memory of how you made her feel. That's why when she thinks about you in quiet moments, she's not missing your words, she's missing your energy. So don't rush to fill silence. Let her sit in it. Let her realize that the peace she feels when you're around doesn't exist without you. That realization can't be forced. It must be earned through restraint. Epictetus said, "He who seeks to be tranquil must not depend on others." When your peace no longer depends on her presence, your absence becomes irresistible, because now your withdrawal isn't rejection, it's power. It's the reminder that she doesn't own your focus. She must earn it again. If this truth resonates, type below. I return to calm, because the man who knows when to step back doesn't lose connection. He deepens it one quiet moment at a time. Number 7. How calm dominance triggers her desire. There's a kind of power that doesn't need to raise its voice. It doesn't argue. It doesn't prove. It simply is. That's calm dominance, the kind of presence that commands attention without asking for it. It's not about control over her. It's about control over yourself. And when you master it, her desire becomes instinctive. She can't explain it, but she feels it. Let's talk about what that looks like in the real world. David, 52, had been single for a few years. He worked in finance, trained daily, and had no interest in playing games. When he met Lisa, 48, at a networking event, she described him later as steady, but intense. He didn't flirt much. He just listened, kept eye contact, and spoke slowly. When she teased him, he smiled, not nervously, not defensively, just enough to show composure. That calm response shifted the entire energy. She leaned in. What Lisa was reacting to wasn't bravado. It was David's restraint. His steadiness created a polarity she couldn't resist. It wasn't sexual tension in words, it was energetic tension. Her mind registered him as a man who didn't chase, didn't flinch, and didn't perform. That's what dominance really means. Emotional regulation under pressure. Most men misunderstand this completely. They think dominance is about taking control of situations or being loud. But real dominance is about how little external chaos can shake you. The calmer you remain, the more others, especially women, sense leadership. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's calm dominance in one line. You're not trying to change the external, you're mastering the internal. That mastery radiates as confidence without ego. When you can stay calm under tension, you trigger something ancient in her psychology: trust. She feels safe, yet stimulated. That mix is the foundation of attraction. Women don't desire chaos. They desire the man who can contain it. When you hold your frame while she tests your boundaries, her instincts interpret that as strength. It's not that she wants to fight you, she wants to feel your unshakable presence. David told me something interesting later. She keeps saying my silence turns her on. That's the paradox. When your calmness has weight, it becomes seductive. Not because of words, because of contrast. While everyone else reacts, you respond. While others rush to fill silence, you let it breathe. That space makes her wonder, imagine, crave. But calm dominance doesn't mean emotional coldness. You're not distant. You're anchored. You engage from stillness, not reactivity. When you look at her, your gaze says, "I'm here, I'm aware, I'm in control." That look alone communicates more desire than 100 texts ever could. You can practice this daily. Start by observing your reactions to frustration, to temptation, to silence. Each time you resist the impulse to react, you strengthen your internal command. Over time, that calm turns magnetic. You become the quiet in her storm, the steady hand she wants to reach for when everything else feels uncertain. Lisa later admitted. When you pause before you speak, it drives me crazy. I can't read you. That's it. Mystery through composure, power through stillness. So here's your reminder. Calm is not passive, it's powerful. Dominance without anger, confidence without arrogance, presence without performance. If this truth hits home, type it in the comments. I lead with calm. Because when your composure becomes your weapon, her desire stops being a choice. It becomes a reflex. Number 8. The emotional mirror that disarms her guard. One of the most powerful things you can do as a man is not to speak, it's to reflect. When you become an emotional mirror, you don't chase connection, you create it. You don't tell her what to feel, you help her see what she already feels, clearly, calmly, and without judgment. That's how you bypass resistance and touch the part of her that words can't reach. Most men destroy attraction because they try to fix emotions. The moment a woman gets upset, sad, or distant, they rush in with solutions or defenses. But when you do that, you interrupt her process. You tell her unconsciously that her emotions make you uncomfortable. What she really wants isn't a rescuer, it's a mirror. Someone strong enough to hold space without collapsing. Here's the truth. When you can stay present while she's emotional, you create safety without saying a word. You don't argue. You don't explain. You simply stay steady and reflect back the energy she's putting out, calm, balanced, unshaken. Over time, she starts to relax. Her nervous system begins to sync with yours. And when that happens, her guard dissolves. The Stoics mastered this thousands of years ago. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This is the core of emotional reflection. When she tests, complains, or vents, your reaction determines everything. If you match her chaos, you lose frame. But if you remain calm, you show her wordlessly that emotion isn't danger. That's what allows her to trust you. Women naturally test emotional stability, not because they're manipulative, but because they're wired to seek safety. When she expresses strong emotion, she's not always asking for answers. She's asking a deeper question: can your presence handle me? When your stillness answers that question with a quiet yes, the tension flips into attraction. Stoic philosophy calls this apatheia, not apathy, but freedom from being controlled by emotion. It doesn't mean you're cold or detached. It means you're centered. You acknowledge emotion, but you don't serve it. That's the difference between control and suppression. Control is awareness. Suppression is fear. Being an emotional mirror takes discipline. It means noticing her energy without absorbing it. If she's anxious, you breathe slower. If she's sharp, you stay grounded. Your body becomes the steady rhythm her body sinks to. You're not fighting her storm, you're anchoring it. That's why she feels calmer around you, even when she doesn't know why. This is what the great Stoic Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." You don't debate emotional control, you demonstrate it. You become the mirror that reflects strength, peace, and understanding. Here's what happens next. The moment she realizes her emotions don't shake you, she stops testing and starts trusting. Her defenses lower, her tone softens. That's the point where true connection begins. Not in the heat of argument, but in the quiet after it, when she realizes you never left your center. So remember this. You don't attract by overpowering her emotion, you attract by containing it. You don't win by talking louder, you win by being still enough to let her see herself through you. If this truth resonates, type below, "I stay centered." Because when you master emotional reflection, her guard doesn't just drop, it melts, leaving only trust, curiosity, and a bond she can't explain. Number 9. The mystery hidden in your restraint. Every man wants to be seen as mysterious, but few understand where real mystery comes from. It's not about saying less for the sake of being vague or acting distant to appear deep. True mystery lives in restraint, in the moments you could act but choose not to. When your silence feels intentional, your words carry weight. When your focus is selective, your presence becomes rare. And that rarity is what keeps her hooked. Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Anthony, 55, owns a small custom furniture business in Austin. He met Claire, 49, through mutual friends. She was charming, witty, and used to men trying hard to impress her. But Anthony didn't try. He smiled, asked a few thoughtful questions, and listened, really listened. When she flirted, he didn't overreact or rush to flirt back. He just stayed steady, curious, calm. That restraint made her lean closer, almost as if she wanted to earn his reaction. Over the next few weeks, he didn't bombard her with messages. When he did reach out, his texts were direct and minimal, no filler, no emojis, no unnecessary chatter. Every word felt deliberate. And that's when Claire admitted something most men never get to hear. "You make me nervous, but in a good way." What she felt wasn't confusion, it was polarity. Anthony's restraint forced her imagination to fill the gaps. Every time he paused, every time he chose silence over noise, her mind had to chase meaning. That's the root of fascination. You create space for curiosity to live. Men who lack restraint overexpose themselves. They talk too much, reveal too fast, explain every feeling. They try to convince instead of embody. But the truth is, the less you reveal, the more you invite her to interpret. And interpretation is where attraction multiplies. Restraint isn't suppression, it's power. It's the ability to let things unfold without forcing them. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Restraint is your proof. It's how you show control without saying, "I'm in control." When you withhold your full expression, your stories, your intentions, your emotions, not out of fear but out of choice, you make her wonder what else is behind that calm exterior. You become like a closed book with an interesting title. She can't stop thinking about what's inside. In a culture obsessed with oversharing, silence becomes magnetic. You don't need to explain every absence or justify every action. You don't need to announce your feelings to make them real. When you move with quiet certainty, she feels the depth, even if she doesn't know why. Anthony later told me, "She keeps saying, 'I'm hard to read.' I take that as a compliment, and it is, because the man who is hard to read is easy to remember. His presence lingers in her thoughts long after he's gone. Mystery doesn't come from pretending, it comes from patience. The ability to hold back, to stay composed, to let curiosity do the work for you. Restraint is what separates intrigue from exposure, power from desperation. So stop oversharing. Let your pauses speak. Let your actions create questions she wants to answer. Because the quietest man in the room often holds the strongest pull. If this truth speaks to you, write it in the comments. I move in silence. Because the man who practices restraint doesn't chase attention, he attracts it one quiet glance at a time. Number 10. The imprint you leave without touching. Every powerful connection leaves a trace, but the deepest ones aren't physical, they're psychological. The real mark you leave on a woman isn't from your touch, your words, or your presence. It's from how you make her feel when you're gone. That's the silent echo that follows her through her day, the pause before she checks her phone, the breath she takes when she hears your name. That's not chemistry anymore. That's imprinting. Imprinting happens when you affect her nervous system on such a deep level that her mind and body remember you as a state, not a person. You become associated with calm, mystery, curiosity, and the moment she feels those states again, even alone, she thinks of you. This isn't magic. It's psychological conditioning, the kind that happens naturally when presence meets restraint. Here's how it works. The male energy that truly captivates doesn't chase stimulation. It creates resonance. You don't flood her with attention. You shape her emotional experience. Your tone, your silence, your steadiness, they form the environment she relaxes in. Over time, her body learns that your presence equals equilibrium. When you leave, that balance disappears, and her subconscious begins seeking it again. That's when she starts missing you, not out of longing, but out of instinct. You can't fake this kind of impact. You earn it by being consistent in energy, not effort. She must feel your essence, not performance. The calm of your breath when she's anxious. The measured way you respond when others react. The grounded focus that makes her feel seen without being analyzed. That's what stays. The Stoics lived by this principle of invisible influence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." You don't talk about presence, you embody it. You don't seek to impress, you leave impressions naturally through alignment. Stoic presence is subtle but unforgettable because it carries truth without force. Most men try to leave marks through intensity, grand gestures, constant messaging, sexual pursuit. But intensity fades when it isn't rooted in inner steadiness. What lasts is the quiet after the moment, the reflection she has when she's alone. You want her mind to return to your energy, not because you demanded it, but because you anchored it in calm control. Here's a way to think about it. Fire burns fast, fragrance lingers. The strongest scent isn't the one that overwhelms. It's the one that stays faintly on the air, impossible to forget. That's how your energy should be, subtle but unmistakable. When you're gone, she replays the moments that felt different. Your timing, your composure, your restraint. The way you never tried to win her, yet she felt drawn anyway. That reflection is what deepens attachment. Because now she's no longer reacting to you, she's remembering herself in your presence. That's the imprint. This is why the man who doesn't chase often stays in her memory the longest. His silence becomes louder than other men's words. His absence feels heavier than their presence. That's not an accident, that's mastery. It's what happens when your life, your purpose, and your peace are so aligned that she can feel them even when you're not around. So understand this, the goal isn't to make her addicted to you. It's to make her addicted to her best self, the version that awakens when she's around your energy. That's the legacy of real masculinity. Not ownership, but resonance. Because in the end, the most powerful man doesn't just touch her body, he touches her state of being. And long after you're gone, that state will keep whispering your name. What you've learned in this video isn't about tricks or tactics, it's about energy, discipline, and presence. We broke down how small, controlled actions can make a woman feel your power without words, how rhythm, silence, and restraint create attraction that goes beyond the surface. These are not games, they're principles of self-mastery rooted in Stoic strength. When you understand how to lead with calm, control your energy, and leave an imprint without chasing you, stop seeking validation and start commanding respect. You become the kind of man she feels, remembers, and can't replace. If you want to go deeper to master Stoic control, emotional discipline, and real masculine presence, join the Stoic Brotherhood membership. Inside, you'll get exclusive lessons, mindset training, and practices that turn calm confidence into your natural state. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss what's coming next. Every video here is built to sharpen your mind, strengthen your focus, and make you unstoppable. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Stay calm, stay powerful, and stay unshakable.